Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something absolutely transformative. We're talking about a definitive, actionable playbook designed to help you stop feeling stuck, stop renting out your potential, and finally take the wheel of your life. We've synthesized insights from top sports psychologists, financial experts, and peak performance coaches to bring you the ultimate guide to the top tier of success. Let's get right into it.
So, what truly separates the 1% from absolutely everyone else? We often default to thinking, it's got to be raw talent, right? Or maybe a trust fund, or just getting incredibly lucky. But when you actually look at the data, the answer is radically different. It's not about those external advantages at all. It's a completely different internal operating system. The 1% literally process the world, their time, and their decisions through a totally different framework.
Okay, let's really dive into this. I love this insight from world-renowned sports psychologist Bill Beswick. There's 1,000 excuses, but not one reason to achieve. Think about it. When you step out of your comfort zone, your brain immediately hands you this huge menu of excuses, right? I'm too tired. It's too hard. I don't have the right connections. Well, the 1% acknowledge those excuses, and then they flat out refuse to accept them. They recognize that if you wait for that magical, perfect, excuse-free moment, you're literally going to be waiting forever. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're building this from the ground up. 1. Defining the 1% mindset. 2. Mastering your inner game. And 3. Owning your precious time. Then we'll hit 4. The mathematics of success. 5. Rules of financial happiness. And wrap it all up with 6. The 90-day transformation.
All right, Section 1. Defining the 1% mindset. Let's look at the stark contrasts between the average masses and the elite few. So Bill Beswick breaks this down into two distinct camps, victim mentality versus fighter mentality. And he actually shared a deeply personal story about this. When he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, he was driving home and, understandably, briefly slipped right into that victim mentality. But his son called him out, researched the disease, and immediately organized a family action plan. Boom, straight back into fighter mentality. Look, genetics might deal the cards, for sure, but your environment and your mindset, they play the hand. You've got to take ownership and face the challenge head on. Now, let's apply this exact same idea to wealth, pulling from some insights by Robert Kiyosaki. The 99% are out there working for a paycheck and trying to save cash. But Kiyosaki points out that a paycheck can actually trap you. It traps you in this employee mindset, basically making you a slave to money. And saving cash? Honestly, that's a losing game, because the rules completely changed back in 1971 when the gold standard ended, and money essentially became debt. The 1% mindset, on the other hand, creates value, acquires real assets, and actually uses debt and taxes strategically to build wealth. They just don't play by those obsolete rules. Moving on to Section 2, Mastering Your Inner Game. We're shifting from external definitions to the raw internal foundation. Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. That's from former Navy SEAL David Goggins. He talks about how when he was younger, he really struggled to learn. To pass tests, he literally had to read paragraphs over and over and over again, writing them down until it finally stuck. He realized that if he gave himself absolutely no way out, his mind would eventually adapt. He actually used suffering, like running on broken feet during SEAL training, to create a new norm. Because when your brain realizes you are absolutely not going to quit, it shifts gears to help you survive and conquer. So, the absolutely crucial point here is your locus of control. Average folks, they tend to believe their success is dictated by their boss, the economy, or just plain luck. But the 1% believe success depends entirely on their own actions. Brian Tracy teaches this incredible concept. We become what we think about most of the time. If you're constantly agonizing over problems, you just become a problem-oriented person.
But if you focus on your goals and take complete internal responsibility, your brain actively hunts for solutions. It's a real game changer.
Next up, Section 3, Owning Your Precious Time. With that mental foundation set, let's talk about operational execution.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept of renting time versus owning time, an idea from Growth Ascent. Think about it. Renting time is treating your hours like sand slipping through your fingers, just giving it away to endless scrolling and distractions. Owning time, though, that means treating it like flowing water. It doesn't stop in comfortable little puddles. It aggressively finds the most efficient path to the ocean. When you waste time, you aren't just taking a break. You are actively stealing from the person you could become. You're literally robbing your future self. Which brings us to Section 4, the mathematics of success. Let's connect these micro actions of managing time to the macro results of compounding success.
Now, what's really interesting about this number, 37x, is the sheer mathematical power behind it. This is Brian Tracy's math, and it goes like this. If you improve by just 1% every single day for 1 year, you don't just become 1% better. Compounded, you become 37 times better in a single year. Success isn't about these giant cinematic leaps. It's about thousands of small, daily decisions made consistently. Most people try to change the whole shebang all at once. And what happens? They burn out in 3 weeks. The 1%ers, they stick to the math of tiny daily improvements.
To get that 1% edge, it really starts with your morning. Here's a super practical, high-value routine. While the average person is smacking the snooze button and rushing out the door in a total panic, the 1% are investing their first hour. Step 1. Exercise for 20 minutes just to wake up the body. Step 2. Read for 20 minutes to feed the mind. And Step 3. Plan your day for 20 minutes to set your focus. You do this, and you've already won the day before the rest of the world has even opened their eyes.
Let's move to Section 5, Rules of Financial Happiness, and see how this builds from daily habits to actual wealth building.
We need to consider the true definition of financial happiness here. Pulling from former investment banker Nisha Shah, we hear a ton about financial success, sure, but that's usually just society's metric, right? Like what kind of car you drive or what zip code you live in. Financial happiness, though, is your intrinsic, personal definition of joy and alignment. The 1% in financial happiness do not waste their money buying things just to show off to other people. They align every single dollar they spend with the life they genuinely want to create, not the life Instagram tells them they should have. To actually start building that happiness, you need a foundation. And this number right here is incredibly powerful, $2,000. Shea points out this fascinating Vanguard research showing that simply securing a starting emergency fund of exactly $2,000 increases your financial well-being by up to 21%. It's huge! It immediately shifts you out of that stressful scarcity mindset and survival mode. Honestly, before you even worry about paying off low-interest debt or picking individual stocks, you absolutely must establish this safety net.
Once you've got that cushion, you've got to protect it. Look, we live in a totally frictionless digital economy where you can literally buy a car on your phone at 2 a.m. without speaking to a single human being. It's wild. To combat this, Shan offers 3 vital questions to basically introduce some friction back into your spending. Before you click buy, ask yourself, do I really need it? Can I live with less of it? And can I get the exact same thing for cheaper? These questions act as a mental speed bump. They stop impulse buying dead in its tracks. When it comes to managing your actual take-home pay, here is a highly effective automated structure you can use. 65% goes to your fundamentals. That's your rent, your groceries, the absolute essentials. 25% is for fun, experiences, leisure, all that good stuff. And crucially, 10% goes to future you. That means automating investments into things like low-cost index funds before you even have the chance to spend that money. Like Warren Buffett says,
Don't save what's left after spending, spend what's left after saving.
All right, finally, Section 6, the 90-day transformation. We've got the mindset, the time management, and the financial frameworks down.
Let's give you a concrete timeline to apply all of this. Brian Tracy maps this out into a brilliant 90-day sequence. Take his story of Jennifer, for example. She was stuck at a $50K salary and just felt completely lost. But she committed to this exact sequence. Days 1 to 30, yeah, they're the hardest. Your old habits are going to fight back, you'll be exhausted, and you're going to want to quit. You have to push through. Days 31 to 60, momentum starts to build, your energy shifts, and people actually start noticing your focus. And by days 61 to 90, that 1% identity is cemented. For Jennifer, applying this 1% daily improvement literally turned her into a regional director earning $200K within 3 years. It works, but only if you do the work. So, I'll leave you with this. Are you going to be part of the 99% who wait for someday, or the 1% who start right now? Let's be real, someday is not on the calendar. Perfect conditions are a total myth. You now have the playbook for your mind, your time, and your money. The only variable left is your action. Take ownership today, stop waiting around, and start building the life you actually deserve. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.